Marcos Bulacio, thank you so much for taking the time to talk today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation, Peter.
Where are you sitting at the moment?
I'm right now in Russia because my wife is Russian and we came here to give birth to our first baby.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm hoping to go back to Bali. That's where our team is and our base.
Okay, could you describe possibly the home in Bali, where you are and under what conditions you're living at the moment?
Yeah, so we're staying in her apartment here in St. Petersburg. It's a very nice place. We're comfortable and mainly working from home.
Okay.
Every day.
And how long have you been in Bali?
So before this, I was in Bali for a couple of years, and our team is based there in the Pangea House of Creativity, which is a wonderful space. That I created as a space where creativity flows and people are free to express themselves in a soft environment that inspires them to be the best they are.
That's a wonderful story. Say a little bit more about the Pangea Community House.
Pangea House of Creativity.
Pangea House of Creativity. Tell me more about the Pangea House of Creativity.
Yeah, so the Pangea House of Creativity is this beautiful villa in the jungle, 10 minutes away from the beach, 10 minutes away from town. So it's a perfect space that combines a few things together. It combines the productivity of an office with the spirituality of a meditation space, with the creativity of a painting room and music room with instruments. We also have a beautiful swimming pool. We have a chef that cooks for us. And we have our team there. There's 20 people that go and work, and 4 of our core team members also live there. So it's like our house, but at the same time it's our office, it's our base, it's our headquarters, our heart quarters. We also have a cinema with a projector where we watch movies, we watch documentaries, different things to raise awareness among the team as well. And we even have a PlayStation to have fun and just enjoy life as well as work. And we also have a bunch of surfboards, so sometimes we go surfing together as well. And trying to create the ideal work balance and the work environment where people can thrive and can enjoy at the same time as creating something that is great and that is also very productive.
That sounds fantastic. I see that you're hiring. Where can I sign up?
I'll send you a link.
Okay, great. On your profile, you say that you're a passionate entrepreneur on a mission to save our oceans through innovative business, circular business models and blockchain. So there's a lot there to unpack. We'll get to the circular business models and the blockchain technology perhaps later on in the conversation. But let's stay with you. So you're a passionate entrepreneur. Where does your passion come from?
Yeah, I think it just flows naturally. My mind is always creating things, and it's always thinking ahead and just visualizing a different, better future and planning strategies to get there. So it just naturally happens since I was very young. I started with my first venture when I was 15 years old. I was very passionate about smartphones at that time. It was, 14 years ago. Smartphones were the new thing, and I was just really amazed about the technology. And I remember surfing the web, and I saw these amazing smartphones in China that they had a lot of really cool features, and they were selling them at $80 on a website, something like Alibaba back then. And then I went to check on the Argentinian Amazon, which is called Mercado Libre, and I saw similar cell phones that were not as good. They were selling them at $300. So for me, it was super clear. It was, wait, I can buy this cell phone, ship it to Argentina, pay with my credit card, and then just post it on this website and make $200 out of it. And then so I just went to my father, I showed him, and I said, can I borrow your credit card? And he said, yeah, go ahead. And I did that, and it worked. I sold them, and then I repeated that, and I made a few, I think like $1,000 in a couple of months, being 15, which was quite amazing for me. And that's where I realized the power of e-commerce, just connecting the dots and unlocking the generation of wealth.
Okay, so you're a 15-year-old and you've made your first buck on the internet, maybe second buck. Who were your heroes then?
Well, I would say my heroes. Well, my father definitely enabled me to do that. But back then, a hero that I had was Steve Jobs, actually. I just loved his passion when he was communicating the iPhone and how he was innovating and pushing humankind into the future through innovation.
Got it. So this is maybe a fun question or a different question, don't know. What do people get wrong about you?
I honestly don't know. I'm super direct, and something that I lack a little bit sometimes is maybe compassion or diplomacy. So I'm actually not really sure about that. I don't know.
Okay. You grew up in Argentina?
Yeah, I grew up in Argentina until I was 18, and then I started traveling the world.
Okay. Did you have a connection to the ocean when you were growing up?
Yeah, definitely. First time I went surfing was when I was 12, and I just loved surfing very much. It was in Brazil. I was on a vacation trip with my family, and yeah, my love of surfing started back then.
Okay, and then you studied sociology and business.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
And what ideas did you come out at the end? You know, what ideas and what visions did you have?
Yeah, a lot. But when I was around 18 years old, I really, really loved Marxism and communism. Actually, earlier than that, when I was really 16, I was very against consumerism. And I remember I wrote a thesis when I finished high school that said something like the capitalistic system. I need to remember this one, it was long ago, but it was something like against consumerism and how the capitalistic system changes human mind and puts people to consume in an irreflexive way that harms the environment. So I was really against consumerism and the negative impact on our planet. And I was also very much into Marxism and socialism and distributing wealth and equality, and all these ideas that were a little bit extremist at that time, then started shifting towards a more balanced model and how we can actually use business as a force for doing good instead of as a force of harming, and how can we also create a workspace that gives people purpose and provides them the means for living that they need, an income that is also fair, and where people can also get happiness through work and a purpose in their life. So then I think all these extremist ideas came to a very good balance point, in which, mixing socialism, sociology, environmentalism together with capitalism and positive capitalism and business and creativity, all these things started to come up together into what Pangaea is right now.
Okay. But you had a further step, an educational step. You went to Harvard, did an entrepreneur course there?
Yeah. I did a executive course of entrepreneurship and innovation. It was a semester course on the second half of 2017. What
was the big idea you took away from that?
Oh, yeah, it was information management. It was being able to drive decisions through data analysis and managing the data, managing the information, in order to also create products and business models that are data-driven and based on reverse engineered on what people want, and understanding that through data, and then creating something, reverse engineer something to fulfill their needs and solve their problems that way. Instead of doing that the other way around, which is from the inside to the outside, this is from the outside to the inside, and through the power of data and information.
Okay, and so that is the big idea. So when did you have your first interaction with marine plastic litter?
Yeah, so that was traveling around the world. I love traveling. I explored the whole planet. Been traveling for several years of active travel time. Been to 55 countries in the 5 continents, mostly by myself, and backpacking, camping as well. And yeah, and throughout all my travels around the world, I just saw trash everywhere, especially in Southeast Asia and in underdeveloped countries that don't have the proper waste management systems, and just feeling a lot of sadness because nature, the planet, is what I love the most, and seeing our beautiful planet, which is our mother, right? So dirty, so mistreated. I just, it just really impacted me and triggered, a response to change that somehow.
Can you say a particular instance where you looked out and saw something and you were shocked, and what ideas did you get from that moment?
Honestly, it was not the one moment. It was more like throughout all these travels, all my trips around the world. It was a constant thing that would keep repeating itself. This constant pattern of being in a wonderful, beautiful place and suddenly seeing that trash. So it was more of this constant happening.
And what kind of ideas were you getting? I mean, you'd had all these data management concepts and your passion for justice, social justice. What ideas were you getting?
Yeah, so the ideas that started to come across were, okay, how can I combine e-commerce and social justice, and in order to make an impact to clean our planet, right? So all these ideas started to come across, and that was the beginning of the idea of Pangea.
Okay, what was, for example, one idea that you had, maybe a crazy idea that...
Yeah, so the crazy idea that I had also when I was in Harvard, and I had the idea of creating what now is Pangea. At that moment, I wanted to create an incubator that would launch brands and products to sell online around the world, with a team of passionate travelers that would work together with their computers while traveling around the world. So it was the idea of having a team of nomads that would be working online, traveling around the world, and being able to relocate to different places, and having the income coming from the computer.
And this is the base idea of Pangaea.
In a way, not really. The base idea of Pangaea, then that evolved into so launching innovative ecological products through Kickstarter and raising funds in order to pay our salaries and clean the world. So 5% of all the sales from our campaigns go towards cleaning our planet and boosting a global ecological movement of cleanups, and now also stopping ocean pollution by placing river barriers in the most polluting rivers in the world.
Right, let's get to Pangaea. When did it all start?
Yeah, so it all started. So this idea, that this project of the e-commerce incubator started in 2018, and then that at the beginning I started testing a few things on Amazon, learning a lot, buying products from China again, and then shipping them to Amazon USA and getting some sales there. And then all these evolved into the idea of Pangaea as a brand for people like us, for nomads, for explorers, for adventurers who love the planet and who need adventure gear for their trips around the world and for their outdoor adventures. And then also the idea of creating a contribution model in which each sale would directly contribute towards the mission of cleaning the planet. And as we are targeting to other fellow travelers and other fellow explorers, most of these people, most of us, have seen eye to eye the contamination of our planet. So this idea that a cool product that is tailored for us, that is having a mission to help our planet, to solve the problem of the environmental problem that we all came across. I think that was a really good idea, and then we launched it on our first Kickstarter campaign, and it did very, very well.
Okay, so you started with a beach towel and a Kickstarter campaign.
Right. Well, it was actually not a beach towel, but it was quite a unique concept. We created a bamboo travel towel. So we created a towel that would be perfect for traveling around the world. Right. This was before COVID. We started ideating this one on the second half of 2019. And something that I realized out of 5 years backpacking the world is that the only alternative to bulky, heavy cotton towels was microfiber towels. And the biggest problem of microfiber towels was that they suck. No one likes them, right? They don't absorb, they smell bad, but they're very lightweight and compact. And the other problem that they have that I discovered is the environmental problem, that they are 100% made out of plastic. Microfibers are made out of mainly polyester and nylon, and in the supply chain of creating them, there's a lot of CO2 emissions. There's also extraction of oil to create these plastic fabrics. And then there's also the fact that they are non-biodegradable. So each new towel that is being created and is being sold and being purchased will remain in our planet forever. So it's just adding more plastic into our planet that will never biodegrade. And apart from that, just by the fact of washing it, we are releasing a lot of microplastics into the ocean that are also killing plankton and affecting the environment very badly.
I don't own a microfiber towel, and I will never buy one after that. So what's the alternative?
So the alternative we found was a bamboo towel. So it's a towel made out of bamboo, which is a renewable and sustainable source, because when bamboo is cut properly, the cane grows back, and it's also biodegradable. It's a biodegradable fabric. So whenever it's disposed, it can just biodegrade back into the planet. And as a product, it was also super lightweight. It is much more absorbent than microfibers, and it also doesn't smell, and it also was super compact and breathable. So it was a much better product for the end user because it was much more absorbent and breathable, and it was as lightweight and compact as microfibers, with the addition that it's much better for the environment as well.
Yeah, it sounds great. So you did a Kickstarter campaign and selling these. What do you taken away from that experience? What's the big learning?
Yeah, so we learned a lot on how to create a successful Kickstarter campaign. Did a lot of research, figured out the process, and we did very well. We had a very small money. I was living in a hostel in Bali at the time, in a place called Draper Startup House, and I was just working on the computer on my laptop while sleeping in a bunk bed. I had about $3,000 or $4,000 in my bank account, and then out of a few months of hard work together with my co-founder William, we released this campaign, and we ended up raising $150,000.
What?
To create these towels, and
Yeah.
that I got a call. Excuse me. And
Do you want to take it?
no. I'm gonna put this in silent mode. Yeah. So sorry. So we created this campaign. We raised $150,000, and we said that for every $10 we raised, we would clean 1 pound of trash from the world. And suddenly, we never expected we would raise so much. To be honest, we were expecting, okay, maybe we'll do 20, 30K. We'll manufacture a couple towels and organize a few cleanups. But suddenly 1 month later, we had $150,000 in our bank account, and we had to figure out how to fulfill 10,000 towels to 3,500 people in 80 countries around the world, and then how to collect 150. Let me crunch this right now, but I think it was probably 15,000 pounds of trash. 15,000 pounds of trash, which is 7 tons of trash around the world for cleanups, which is amazing because then it gave us the power and the motivation to start a global ecological movement, which was my vision from the beginning.
And you mentioned a partner. Who is your partner?
Yeah, my partner, main partner is William. He's from San Francisco. We met traveling together in Mexico, and we started Pangea together with another friend, another fellow traveler who is from Colombia, and his name is Juan.
And what's William's superpower?
I see William as a hacker. William, not in the bad sense, but in the sense of someone who can think of shortcuts and can think in a very unique way because he has a science background but no business background. So he understands things from a different angle, and he always thinks of super efficient alternatives to cut corners and be more efficient.
Okay. So you used the money from the Kickstarter campaign, from the towel Kickstarter campaign, to finance beach cleanups. What did you learn from those cleanups? So, I mean, I guess you went in fairly naive and came out quite experienced. What did you learn during that time?
Yeah, so something we learned that was quite amazing is the amount of people that were willing to help and just volunteer to clean the planet. And it was quite easy actually to just trigger this movement and coordinate the cleanups around the world, because only by showing what we were doing on Instagram, we were getting a lot of requests from people around the world telling us, hey, I also want to clean, where can I sign up? So that was quite amazing. It was fairly simple, to be honest, to put all these cleanups together. And then we came out with a few cool ideas. We created a cleanup kit, and we just optimized everything, and we just standardized all the processes and everything to expand the cleanups as fast as possible, and also implemented some QR codes to do some data tracking, and started creating the community and creating a database of all these volunteers, and with the vision of one day putting everyone together in a festival for the planet and etc.
Okay, at this stage you probably could have turned into a beach cleanup organization, but you went in a different direction. Why was that?
Yeah, no, so Pangea is a brand and an ecological movement. So we have both things. We still do the cleanups around the world, and we will keep doing them. Right now we're already at 12 countries with more than 1,500 volunteers. But cleanups don't provide any means of survival, right? Any income. So we need to power those cleanups by creating new products so we can keep launching on Kickstarter to feed the Pangea brand, and then also launching them on wholesale and through other channels to keep making sales of these ecological innovative products that we're going to keep launching to keep feeding the ecological movement to clean the world. And then we also found a way of preventing pollution, which is by placing river barriers in the 1,000 most polluted rivers in the world.
Right, let's get to the river barriers, because that is the most visible activity which I see that you're doing at the moment. Let's talk about river barriers. Yeah. Okay. Do river barriers work? They sound great. I explained the idea that I was talking to you on today to my girlfriend, and I told her about river barriers, and she said, "Yeah, that sounds really sensible thing to do."
Yeah. So we learned about them in Bali through an organization called Sungai Watch that has been placing these river barriers in the rivers in Bali. And two things came to my mind as soon as I saw them. One was a circular model of asking myself, how can I turn the trash into something that then this something can feed the creation of the deployment of new barriers? And second, how can we maximize the impact of these barriers? So then something else happened. A report from the Ocean Cleanup Organization came out in April showing that there were 1,000 rivers in the world creating 80% of all the trash that enters the ocean. So then for me it was quite simple. It was like, okay, the barriers that work in Bali, we can expand them and place them in the 1,000 most polluting rivers in the world and make a huge impact on reducing maybe not ocean pollution by 80%, but a big amount. If we can even reduce half of that ocean pollution by neutralizing those 1,000 rivers, that's really going to be a lot. And that's how the idea of the river barriers and placing them in the 1,000 most polluting rivers in the world came.
Jumping ahead a little bit there. So you said that the river barriers in Bali, so you're talking about some kind of, are you referring to the existing activities of Sungai Watch?
Yeah.
So could you say what that is? And
Sure, yeah. So Sungai Watch is an organization that started placing river barriers in Bali. These barriers are just floating barriers. They have a metal grid, and they are just tied to the edges of the river. And they basically stop all the floating trash before it goes through and enters the oceans. So the trash accumulates, and then there are cleaners, river heroes, that go in and clean and remove the trash daily or whenever it's needed. And so that's just very simple, very straightforward method of stopping the trash before it enters the ocean. The design was actually created by a German organization called Plastic Fisher, who started placing a few of them a couple of years ago. Then Sungai Watch expanded them to most of the rivers in Bali, and now we are expanding them around the rivers. And our vision is to expand them around the rivers of the world, but specifically focusing on the 1,000 most polluting rivers of the planet.
So can you just say a few words about the nature of the cooperation with Sungai Watch?
Yeah, so at the beginning we sponsored a few barriers for Sungai Watch, and then we proposed to them to expand globally together, but they said that they were only focusing on Bali at the moment. So then we just started expanding the barriers ourselves. The barriers are open sourced by the designer who is Plastic Fisher. So we just started building them ourselves, and we started now deploying our first set of barriers in the island of Sumatra, in a city called Padang, where there are 3 of the 1,000 most polluting rivers.
Really?
And we placed our first 2 barriers there, and they are doing amazing impact, collecting an average of 60 kilograms of trash per day. And now as we speak, we are shipping 8 more barriers from Bali that we're going to place there. And in the next month and a half, we're going to place 16 barriers in a collaboration with the local government and the local waste bank, in order to neutralize the tributaries of those 3 rivers. And yeah, we're estimating that we're going to stop, if each barrier collects about 60 kilograms of trash per day, that's about 2 tons on average per month per barrier. multiply that by 16 barriers, we might be able to collect 20 tons of trash per month that would otherwise end up in the ocean.
Yeah, when I look at the videos, I think the first thing I think is fantastic. Second thing I think of perfect, really makes sense because it concentrates the plastic on one spot where you can just pull it out. And the third thing that occurred to me was that when you see this concentration, you think, wow, what are people doing?
Yeah, exactly. So something else then comes the long-term change, right? So this is a method to stop immediately the trash that would otherwise enter the ocean. But then there's also something else that we're doing, and this is also based on the wonderful model of Songhai Watch, is start tracking the data that we collect in order to create a trash report that identifies who are the companies producing the waste in the first place, right? Where is this waste coming from? Who are these producers? And then the other thing is we will also come with educational programs to teach the local communities where we place river barriers to stop using rivers as trash cans. So the idea is by gathering this data and implementing educational programs to solve the core problem that is more of a long-term solution, which is when they come to these companies with all this data and propose to them alternatives of sustainable alternatives, biodegradable alternatives to the plastic they are producing, and also teach the local communities so that they can replace that by something else. Which will also come with another idea of placing trash cans and etc., so that we can really solve the problem from the core as well.
Yeah, this was my question, was that as you see this stuff downstream, you want to solve the problems that begin upstream, but do those educational and the bins and everything, do they belong to your mission statement?
Yeah, so we are planning to deploy those as well further down the line. The thing is, the immediate solution, the immediate problem is trash entering the oceans. And that can be stopped by placing river barriers. And that's what we want to target first and expand that. And as we expand that, also expand as well the educational, the trash data gathering, and also implementing some improvements in the waste management system.
Okay. So I grew up next to a river. I sort of like the river feeling. One thing that came up, and in my house, my family house was flooded twice. What happens during flooding? And if you're in Southeast Asia, this must be an issue.
Yeah. So what we've seen with Songhai Watch barriers during the monsoon season is that it gets a little bit more complex, and they require maintenance and just just bigger presence. So yeah, in the monsoon season, we are just going to expect two things. One is that the amount of trash is going to maybe triple, because all this flooding just brings in way more trash. And the second is that there will have to be some constant maintenance in the barriers when the floodings are too big and they're going to break. And something else that we're doing right now is we're going to go into R&D to improve the design of the barriers and maybe try to add some sort of like a net that will capture all the trash just by the power of the river, instead of having to manually clean it. So that would simplify the collection, especially during monsoon season.
So this is your focus now, expanding the network of river barriers in Sumatra and possibly in other rivers as well. I suppose you've got some other targets. How are you funding this expansion? Yeah,
so that also came with the idea in April of launching a cryptocurrency, the Pangea Ocean Cleanup Coin, in order to fund the placement of these river barriers. So we realized crypto was booming, and we said, okay, let's test this experiment. Let's create a coin and see if investors, if holders are interested in purchasing a cryptocurrency that would fund river barriers. So it did really, really well. The volume was huge. It got a lot of traction. And that gave us also the funds to start placing these river barriers, manufacturing our own river barriers and placing them in the city of Sumatra. So the coin is still going. And now it's going to be relaunched as C-Chain and start also developing some other longer-term visions inside of the use of blockchain to protect our oceans. So that was one of the sources of funding. And the other idea that we have now, something that we're working on right now, is creating a circular economy model out of the river barriers in order to keep funding and sustaining the operations of these barriers, so that the barriers, because one thing is funding them, but the other thing is how can we sustain them, right? How can we sustain the employees that we need to hire to clean them, the maintenance, and etc. And that will come by implementing a circular economy model, and also by implementing a sponsorship model in which we will start reaching out to companies, brands, and organizations around the world that would like to sponsor the barriers and co-brand them, and we'll provide high quality content for them, and that way we can do this together.
That's a fantastic story. I just love it. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, so I see a network of hopefully a few thousands of barriers placed in 30 countries around the world, with some very efficient waste management processes and systems that are turning all that trash into recycled products whenever possible. I see also some IoT implementations where the barriers also can measure data and several other things. I see a map, an interactive map in our website where all the barriers are there, and people can click on them and see exactly how much trash they are collecting. I see C-Chain implementing a blockchain solution to track all the trash from all the barriers that's being collected. So seeing all the amount of trash that's being collected in that interactive map per barrier being verified by blockchain as well. And another thing that I see is more and more organizations trusting the movement, trusting the solution to ocean pollution, as we call it, and also wanting to be part of that, and supporting the mission, and also getting the content that they need, because there's more and more consumers wanting environmental impact from companies. So I see the barriers as something that has a lot of potential to solve ocean pollution, to create a new line of revenue out of recycling those materials, and also offering the opportunity to companies to improve their environmental impact and CSR efforts.
Marcos, thank you so much. I'm feeling great just hearing this story. It's really positive and inspiring, and really wish you all the best for all the success for the project, and keep going, man.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you so much for your time, and hope to talk with you again in 1 year and see what's the impact in 1 year from here.
That'd be great.